What's up guys, Mike here. Another little book club slash reflection video today. This book is called Show Your Work. It's by Austin Kleon. It can be read in literally an hour. It's a very short book, but I got a lot out of it. For those who don't know me, I'm Mike. I am a podcast producer and content creator. I spent most of my 20s working on some of the biggest radio shows and podcasts in Australia. Now I run a freelance media business where I produce podcasts and other content for other creators and businesses. I also have a creative channel where I do a bunch of videos on my main channel. This is a second channel where I talk about all of my learnings from like going out on my own, all of my learnings from reading, and all of my learnings from my mantra of 2025, which is try to be 1% better every day. So if you're subscribed to this channel, that is awesome, and check out some of my creative work. But also if you're interested in like what I do for business, then please get in touch with me as well. This book, Show Your Work, like is an essential for anyone creative or anyone working in a creative industry. I got so much out of this book in terms of like dealing with criticism, dealing with like self-doubt and all of this stuff. So I'm just going to read some of the excerpts and sort of key learnings that I picked up while reading this. Let's start out with like this idea of criticism, which I think is such a big blocker for people who want to make content or who are creatively minded. This one is, when you put your work out into the world, you have to be ready for the good, the bad, and the ugly. The more people come across your work, the more criticism you will face. I think it took me my whole 20s, like the entire decade of my 20s and even my teens, to get to a point where I'm at now, where honestly, I don't care about your negative criticism about my work, or like not yours, but like anyone. Like I am putting work out there, and that is the most important thing. Like you can sit there and never put work out there and never do anything, right? Because you're scared of criticism, and the net yield of that will be nothing. If you just start, you can incrementally get better. You can incrementally work your way up to being good, and you will never be great at the start, but that's okay. Like through experience and through trial and error and through making mistakes, you become better every single day. And again, like that's my mantra for 2025. And Austin Kleon in this book talks about this idea of like, you know, the difference between not starting and starting is exponential. The difference between mediocre and amazing is not as big. Okay, so the main hurdle you need to get over as a creative is the hurdle of beginning. And as I said, the main kind of thing that I think prevents a lot of us from starting, prevented me from doing stuff like this, is this fear of like, oh, people are going to criticize me. People are going to think I'm weird. Oh no, what are people going to say? Stop caring. Who cares? Especially if those people aren't doing what you're doing. Especially if those people aren't doing anything, aren't putting themselves on the line, because putting your work out there is fundamentally being vulnerable. It's fundamentally kind of opening yourself up to criticism. But at the end of the day, you are the one doing the work, right? You are the one who's being creative, and that's it. Like just walk through that ego, walk through that wall, and just start. The best thing you can do today for your creativity is start. Which leads me into this next quote, which I love. This is very similar, but it's, the way to be able to take a punch is to practice getting hit a lot. Put out a lot of work. Let people take their best shot at it. Then make even more work and keep putting it out there. The more criticism you take, the more you realize it can't hurt you. I mean, I love that. Like, and I have learned that. Like, I used to get so upset about criticism. I used to be so afraid of it. I used to be just so self-protective. And I know so many creative people. I genuinely have met so many creative people who are like, I can't put something out into the world unless it's perfect. I can't put something out unless it's the best thing ever and it's protected from criticism. Because yeah, if you put out a perfect piece of work, you know, the theory is no one is going to criticize it because it's perfect. But in reality, there is no perfect work. There is no perfect work. And honestly, putting out something at 80% versus putting out something at the theoretical 100%, there's no difference. Just put it out. And as Austin Kleon says, let people take their best shot at it. Then you will realize that it can't hurt you. You're the one putting work out there, and putting your work out there means people are going to criticize you, and that's okay. It's inevitable, and that's okay. That's where I'm at now. I think another thing a lot of us creatives deal with, and something that puts a block on us, is that we are almost waiting for someone to save us, in the sense that like we're almost waiting for someone to give us permission to create. We want someone to come and say, here's a bunch of money, create whatever you want, okay? But the problem with that is often that's not coming, right? In fact, like that probably only comes after you've spent a lot of time doing what you do. I've been creating public creative content online since around 2016, and now it's 2025, and no one has ever come to me and said, Mike, create this for us. Please do this for us, right? No one has ever done that. And Austin Kleon has this quote in this book that I really like. He says, I thought to myself, I'm not going to sit here and wait for things to happen. I'm going to make them happen. And if people think I'm an idiot, I don't care. How good is that? Like, we don't need permission to be creative. We don't need someone to ask us to be creative. We just have to do it. We just have to start. Like, it's all about starting. And for a long time, I think I was waiting for someone to do that. I was putting everything off because I was like, well, no one's asked me to do it. No one is going to ask you. Or in fact, I'll ask you, please make something creative and put it out into the world. This is your permission to do it, right? You will wait the rest of your life if you're waiting for permission. Start, get better every day, okay? Like, as Austin says, if people think I'm an idiot, I don't care. Like, if people are watching this going, this guy is such an idiot, I don't care. Like, I'm doing this for my own creativity, for my own fulfillment, and I'm not doing it for a financial return. I'm not doing it for any kind of like, monetary return. It's just I'm sharing what I'm learning, almost like a diary or journal for myself and for whoever wants to watch it. So if people think you're an idiot, do not care. Again, there's a fear of like, if things aren't perfect, that we might feel embarrassed, or we might, we can't handle the criticism. But again, and so this quote really speaks to that. Avoidance of embarrassment is a form of suicide. If you spend your life avoiding vulnerability, you and your work will never truly connect with other people. Okay. I put off, this isn't even just a creative thing, in my opinion. This is like a human thing, because I personally feel like in a lot of my late teens and early 20s, and even sort of into my mid 20s, I was being someone I wasn't to impress the people I was around. Like, I was pretending that I wasn't who I was because I was embarrassed of who I was, or I had a feeling of shame around who I was. And now I kind of understand that, like, the more myself I was, and the more I lent into this fear of embarrassment, this fear of criticism, all of these inherent fears I had about myself, the more like-minded people I met, and the more people who liked me I met, and I liked them. And then I started making new friends and people who were really similar to me, right? Don't fear the embarrassment, and don't live your life being someone you aren't. That is the biggest injustice you can do to yourself, is what I've learned. Like, I do not avoid embarrassment, lean into it. Otherwise you will never connect with other people truly. You will always have this like faux connection with people. And that's how I felt. I felt like I'm doing all this stuff in my early 20s that I don't want to do. I don't really enjoy. I want to be doing this stuff, but I'm too embarrassed to say, like, I want to sit at home and play board games. I want to talk about books we've been reading. I want to play video games together. I want to do all this stuff. I don't want to go out to some nightclub or some bar. Like, I don't want to do that stuff. That's not what I want to do, but I pretended it was, and I was unhappy. And then when I started doing the stuff I wanted to do, I became exponentially happier. Finally is this quote about getting criticism, right? And it's this: the first step in evaluating feedback is sizing up who it came from. You want feedback from people who care about you and what you do. Be extra wary of feedback from anybody who falls outside of that circle. This is the thing. I used to work on this podcast called Willosophy with an Australian comedian called Will Anderson, who's fantastic. His work is amazing. Go and check it out. Will used to say, and I'm pretty sure he got it from someone else, but I really liked it, which is, don't take criticism from someone you wouldn't take advice from, okay? You will get trolls online talking smack about your work, telling you you suck, all of that stuff. You don't know these people, and do you want to take feedback from these people who are on Instagram, who are on YouTube, who are on whatever, writing mean comments about people? Why would you? Take feedback from people who care about you and your success, whether that's like your parents, your partner, colleagues that you trust, peers that you trust. Like if they're giving you feedback, definitely take it on board. But if it's someone you don't know, if it's someone who's anonymously writing about it on Instagram or wherever, who cares? You know, do not worry about feedback and criticism from people you would not rely on in an emergency, you know? People that you would really rely on and people that you trust and their thoughts that you trust, definitely take their feedback, but do not take feedback from people that you do not care about. It's not worth it. It's genuinely like, these people don't know anything. They're just like keyboard warriors who are so unhappy with themselves that they have to go online and criticize everyone, okay? Take feedback from people who care about you. That's my kind of learning from that. This book, honestly, as I said at the top, you can read this book in literally like a couple of hours, I reckon. Show Your Work, Austin Kleon. You should read this book if you're creative. It's an essential book. I loved it, and I hope you'll pick it up, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, I'm doing videos like this on this second channel. Hit the subscribe button if you enjoy it. I also have a main channel. I have a podcast. All my links are below. So if you're interested in more, please check them out. I'll be continuing to do videos. I don't care if no one watches them. This is just for me to do what I want to do. So I hope you're enjoying it, and I will catch you in another one. See you later.